Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. That's so nice. Thank you. Wow, it's such a warm feeling. It's crazy what's going on, right? It's crazy. You know what? It's raining. It's miserable. There are people outside. I hate to say there's maybe thousands, right? Thousands outside, and I was just doing a lot of selfies. A woman said, "I've been here, Mr. Trump, in the rain for 4 hours. Could I have a selfie?" And my people said, "No, no, no." I said, "Absolutely, you can. Absolutely." So I'm soaking wet now from standing in the rain, but that's okay, right? What the hell? What difference does it make? I just want to thank you. I mean, this weather and all that's going on, it's amazing to have these kind of crowds. And we're having, and my hair looks good. Oh, he's my friend. He's my friend. My hair looks good. You know, and it is my hair, actually, I have to tell you. You always know if it's going to be a wise guy reporter when they say it's not. You know, then you're off to a bad start. But I will tell you, it is such an honor, not only here, all over the country, what's going on. There's a movement going on here. They're tired. They're tired. I mean, I didn't need this. I really wanted to, I would be very happy, honestly, I'd be very happy if Barack Obama were a great president and things were going great. I really would. I'd be very happy. I'd be very happy. You understand when I say that. I love what I'm doing. I love my business. I built a great company. I have tremendous fans. I have thousands and thousands of employees. I've hired tens of thousands of people over the years. I love doing it. Doral, the old post office on Pennsylvania Avenue, so many buildings, and just loving it, but I had to do this. I had to do this. I didn't want to do this. I had to do it. You know, 4 years ago, Mitt Romney let us down. And prior to that, John McCain tried hard, but there was a big implosion prior. In all fairness, nobody could have done that. I think Abraham Lincoln couldn't have done it at that point. But last time, we should have won that election. We should have won that election easily. And I backed him big league, I backed. And I backed John McCain big league. But the last time it's won, and I said, you know what? We're not going to let that happen again. We're not, because we're not going to lose this time. We're not losing. We're not going to lose. And so many things have taken place that have just gotten worse. And you hear, you know, we have almost 100 million people that basically, they're out of work. And then you hear about we're down to 5.2%, so totally phony statistic. So if you look for a job, many people are looking for jobs. If you look for a job, you can't get it, you stop looking for a little while to recuperate. They consider you employed, okay? This country has tremendous, tremendous problems, and we're going to solve them. And you know, I actually have been saying it lately over the last few weeks because I see the spirit, I see the great people. These are great people. In this room, we went to Dallas, Texas. The Mark Cuban said, you can use the arena. That's where the Mavericks play, the American Airlines Center. And I had like 3 days. I think it was on a Friday or a Thursday. We were speaking on a Monday, and it was a holiday. And I had a few days to fill it up, and we filled it up. It was 20,000 people so quickly in Dallas. We went to Mobile, Alabama. We had 35,000 people. You know, we started at a football arena. You know that. We started because we had no choice. We were at a hotel, 500 seats. A friend of mine said, from Mobile, he's a great guy, he said, could you come down and speak in Mobile? I said, yeah, it's great. I'll do that. So he had us set up in a hotel, nice hotel, good people, and it was 500 seats. He called me about a minute after we announced. He said, it's sold out. So we're going to move it to the convention center. Do you mind? That held 10,000. And he calls me about 3 hours later. He said, the convention center can't hold it. It's too big. So they took us to a football stadium, which was beautiful, and we had 35,000 people. And that was just a short little period of time. And then last week, you saw that, we were in Oklahoma, and we had legit 20,000 people. I say more. We had a band shell, and we had a big park in front, a big, big park. And it's funny, because the Pope was there at the same time, and he was in New York, and then he was in Philadelphia. And this is crazy. They had helicopters circling over Oklahoma when we were speaking. So it's a band shell, thousands of people behind the band shell where you couldn't even see. I mean, I said, what are they doing? They can't see, but there was no room in the park. So they had the helicopters circling over, and it was beautiful to see. And they had the helicopters circling over Philadelphia where the Pope was. Now, they said the Pope had 1 million people, and I had 20,000. And it looked like I had more. It's crazy. It's crazy. But no matter where we go, and it's because it's real. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. So incredible. And you know, the reason is that people are just tired of being ripped off. We're just being ripped off. Every single thing. Every single thing. We don't have victories anymore. We don't win anymore. We don't win. You know, years ago, prior to Vietnam, we never lost a war, right? We never lost a war. Vietnam was a loss. Nothing else you can call it. And then after that, now we don't even think about winning. We lose in Iraq. We lose with ISIS. I see a general the other day being interviewed, and they said to him, nice guy. I don't really want a nice general. You know, generals. Bring back Patton. No, seriously. We don't want. This was such a nice guy. I like MacArthur. You know, MacArthur, in the history of West Point, he had the highest marks. I'm very much into the world of academics, believe it or not. And he had the best marks in the history of it. You know, I want these guys. He'd get off his plane with a corncob pipe and the high hat, and it'd say, here I am. You mess with me. Go ahead, mess with me. You know, it's different. So today they're interviewing recently this general on television. First of all, he shouldn't be on television doing an interview, right? Right? You're supposed to be unpredictable. I've been using that term. They said I did this great deal recently, and it was a great business deal, and my other side, and they were tough, but I beat them, and badly, and they said they were interviewing this other side, and they were nice. They said, you know, we don't like Donald Trump, but I have to tell you, he was really tough to beat because he's so damn unpredictable, we couldn't predict what his moves were. And I said to myself, I didn't even know that. I don't think of myself. And I said to myself, our country has to be unpredictable. You know, how about with like Iraq a number of years ago when Obama said, we are leaving on whatever date, October 1st in 1 year, so the enemy says, I can't believe it. You know, a big part of the enemy is ISIS and all. So they just went away. They said, why should we fight now? We'll wait. So the day we leave, they go in and they just knock the hell out of everybody. It's unbelievable. How do you announce it? And frankly, he should have said, we're never leaving. We will destroy them. We are never, ever going to leave. I never wanted to get into Iraq. You know, I was the one. I'm the only one. I didn't want to get in. I said, you're going to destabilize the Middle East. Now, with that being said, I'm the most military. There's nobody that will build a bigger, stronger, better military than me. Nobody. Nobody. But you have to know when to use it. I hope never to use it. You know, I want it to be so strong nobody's going to mess with us. They're going to say, we'll just leave them. Let's play around. Let's do this. But it's so, when I see what we've done. So I said in 2003 and 2004, there was an article, in fact, in Reuters, and it was 2004, and it said, don't go in, and it's not my normal thing, don't go in. It's usually I'm the first one in. I said, don't go into Iraq because you're going to destabilize the entire Middle East because Iraq and Iran were the same thing in terms of power. And they'd fight all the time. They were fighting. That's what they do. That's why. They fight. And guess what? They're going to be fighting whether we're there, they're going to fight. That's what they do. They fight. Okay? All right? So they're fighting. And Syria's going to be another beauty. They'll be there for 29 years fighting. Everybody fights. Let's rebuild our country. You know, I mean, it's time. It's time. But I said to him, if you go into Iraq, you're going to destabilize. And the White House actually could, because I get a disproportionate amount of publicity, which is true. In fact, tomorrow I'm going to meet the press, and this week with George Stephanopoulos. So we have Chuck Todd, good guy. He likes me much better now. He's looking at my poll numbers, and now they all like, everybody likes me now because of the, we just had a poll come out, OAN, where we're 35 or 36. That's high. That's high. Don't forget, that's with 16 people. And I'm not a politician, thank goodness. But no. Of course, now I guess I have to say I'm a politician, but I'm sort of not. And yesterday, the Pew poll came out, which is a big one, and I was 25, way ahead of everybody, way, way ahead. And the pundits are all saying, what's going on? We don't understand. What's going on? They're going crazy. You know, because I'm not in their wheelhouse. They always pick these senators who are worthless. They pick all of these people. You remember when I was on the stage, and Rick Perry, who was a governor of Texas, with the glasses, remember? And he was a nice guy. He was such a nice guy. Then he became vicious. They all become vicious toward me, and they start hitting me hard. I never hit first. And they start hitting me and hitting me. I say, what happened? He was such a nice guy 2 weeks ago. Well, maybe. She just said something. You're probably right. But he was such a nice guy. And then all of a sudden they hit and hit because they need something, because they're going down. And they're at 5%, and then they go down to nothing when they hit me. It's the craziest thing. I wish I could sell that power. That's what we have to do to our enemies, right? That's what we have to do to our enemies. But it's been amazing. The polls have just gone up, and they've been constantly going up, and the press hates to report it. I mean, they hate to, I don't want to sound like, but they hate to report it. We had a case in, think of this, Florida. So you have a governor, Bush, who's in favor of Common Core. By the way, he wants Common Core. How do you win an election when you want your children in Tennessee, in South Carolina, in Iowa, in New Hampshire, in every place, educated by bureaucrats from Washington? How do you win? So you have Jeb Bush, and you have Marco Rubio. So he's a sitting senator, and the other's a governor from Florida. And the poll just came out. And I'm at 29 or 30, and they're much, much lower. One's at like 14, one's at 11, and I'm at 4. Well, they have actually, and the new one, 4. I won't even mention that because that's like one's at 4 in the new one. Right? So, so here's the headline. Rubio surging past, think of this. Rubio, who's at like 13, 14 in Florida, I'm at 30. Rubio, the headline in the paper, Rubio surging past Bush. I said, damn it. I guess, no, it's true. I said, I guess I can't be doing too well in Florida, because I thought, in Florida, they love me. I love Florida. I'm there a lot. It's a great place, beautiful sunshine. But you know what? So it says, Rubio surging past Bush in the Florida poll. So I say, oh, damn. Well, get me the poll. Let me see. This is too bad. I wonder where I am. I wonder how low. So I'm at 30. So in the second paragraph, they said, while Donald Trump is winning, and I'm not even in the title, and I'm killing these both guys. It's crazy. But that's the press. They're very dishonest, I have to say. There are some good ones, but they're generally very dishonest. So now what's happening is this. This is called political speak, which I hate. I had to sign an application the other day. It said profession. And I said, I can't put down the word politician. So I said real estate. I just said real estate. Hey, But, so we have a situation now, which is interesting, because Rubio was mentored by Bush, right? We heard that. And everybody, 6 months ago, they said, Rubio will never, ever run. He won't do it, and he's loyal to Bush, because Bush was older and he was the governor and Rubio was a younger guy, and it's the whole thing is sort of, who has better hair, Trump or Rubio? You tell me. Trump. Okay. So that's not a close one. So here's what happens. So he was, mentored, and everybody said, well, he'll never run. Of course, we don't know. We know politicians, right? Loyalty doesn't mean much. By the way, where are the Gatlins? Where the hell are they? Those guys. Come here, Larry. Come here. I'll tell you this crazy story in a second. Get up here. This man, just so you understand, he's great and all that stuff, and he's great with the singing and the voice, and he's happily married, but before that, the women used to love him. But he used to live, can you believe it? He used to live in Trump Tower, made a great deal. I sold him a unit, and he sold it for much more which doesn't make me feel too smart. I feel like some of these guys that I talk about all the time. But I sold him a unit in Trump Tower. He lived there for years, and we became friends. He's a really great guy, and I want to thank you because I heard you put on a fantastic show before I got here, right?
What he did was he rented the apartment for a nice number, and we moved out, and he tripled it because I had lived there. That's how it worked.
That's right. He's right about that. And your brothers, they are where are they, Larry? They are great. Will you thank them all for me, please? The whole group. What a group. Thank you very much. And he is a friend of mine. Here's a guy, he's a New York slicker. Would you believe that, huh? So anyway, so with Bush and with Rubio, so what happens, and very interesting, I said, well, you know, I would say he won't run, but I know how disloyal politicians are. And they're all talk, no action, so maybe he'll run, but I don't know, who knows? So it ends up that Rubio announces. And then I see Bush and I see Rubio. Now Bush is absolutely furious. Rubio is, you know, doesn't care about Bush, couldn't care less, even though without Bush maybe he wouldn't be there. And what happens, and by the way, Rubio has the worst voting record in the United States Senate. He doesn't go for vote. Now he says, well, I'm running for, well, but you have other senators running and they do just fine, right? Including Ted Cruz and others, but they're doing, you know, they're going back and voting. So he's the worst voting record, but forget that. I don't want to even mention it. Pretend I didn't, hey, pretend I didn't say it, right? Pretend I didn't say it. So Rubio, so what happens now, I say, but they don't like each other. And everyone's saying, no, no, they're dear friends. Then I see Bush, and they're asking, well, are you upset with Marco Rubio? You mentored him. No, he's a dear friend. He's a dear, dear friend. That's the politician speaking. Then they said to Rubio, what do you think of Bush? No, he's a dear, dear friend. I love him very much. He's a dear friend. And I'm saying to myself, I won't use a bad word, because every time I use a bad word, they say Trump cursed, right? They all say curse, please, I can't. You know, the story's not as good without a little extra emphasis, you know, but I won't do it. Because CNN, every time I use a bad word, CNN and ABC, they did such a phony, oh, Donald Trump used a bad word. The bad word, you know what the bad word? It was nothing. It was nothing. It's what they use every night at home, believe me. So anyway, so they go, and I'm saying, look at this, look what's happening. They're starting to get, and all of a sudden, the last week, they're really going at it, folks. I love to watch it. I love to watch it. So now they're going and they don't like, but see, it's really politicians. All talk, no action. They talk. I love him very much. I love him very much. They hate each other. Be honest, okay? You know, one of the reasons we're doing so well. Yeah, and I heard, is that true? Bush was down to 4 in the poll. Wow, that's a low number. That's a good poll too. That's a good one. That's a big poll. That's actually, you know, it's actually too bad. That's a big drop. So what happens is they now, and they have to go after each other. They don't want to go after me because everybody that's gone after me is down the tube. So they're not going to do that. They want to wait. They want to be the last man standing. Everyone now wants to be the last man standing to take on Trump. Okay? I look so forward to finding out who I'm ultimately going to face. Right? I look so forward to it. So, you know, we're going to see, and it's going to be very interesting, but the world of politics is a different place. And, you know, I was the fair-haired boy. Nobody knows more about it than me. They say, what do you know about politics? I've contributed to everybody, Democrats, Republicans, everybody. Marsha's here. She loves me. They all love me. Everybody. Because that was my job, to be loved. Actually, one of the magazines said, Donald Trump's a world-class businessman, which is a very nice thing. It's true, I happen to be. But you know what? You have an obligation to your company, to your employees, to your family. You have to get along with everybody. You get along with everybody. But they sort of said, what do you know about politics? I was the fair-haired boy prior to running. Once I ran, I was on, like, what's he doing running? He's supposed to be handing money to everybody. He's supposed to be giving campaign contributions. Why is he running? Why? But it was interesting, and now I'm becoming a little mainstream because I've been on the top of the polls. How many weeks? The guy who said 4%, he really knows many weeks, right? Months, actually. So I've been up there months, and actually, they thought 2 weeks ago the numbers may be slipping. You know, I went up. Here's a great story. I love these stories. Do you like these stories? We can get to them, right? The other day I was interviewed by a very nice woman, Savannah Guthrie. And I had a really good NBC poll. I was like at 25 or 26, and I went to 29. Now, that was NBC. I'm being interviewed by NBC. CNN had a poll that I went down 2 points. Right? Do you remember that? And every other poll I was going up, but the NBC was really nice. I went up like a nice percentage. I was up almost to 30. So she said, in the CNN poll, I said, wait a minute. You saw the interview. I said, why do you use it? You're NBC. Why are you using CNN? They used CNN because the poll wasn't quite as good. I was still leading by a lot, right? But the poll wasn't good. Now what happens is, so we had the OAN poll, which is, listen to this one, almost 35. 35. And that's a great poll. That's a very sophisticated poll. You know, when I hear 35, and that's 35 with 16 people. So when I hear 35, you know what I want to do? I want to be one of these countries where they can call for the election the following week. You know? Wouldn't that be great? You wait till you have a good week and you say, ladies and gentlemen, we are calling for an election tomorrow. Let's see. I wish we could do that. But 35, when you have so many people running, is an amazing thing. Do you ever notice the pundits? So I start. And my wife said to me, and my daughter Ivanka, did anyone ever hear of Ivanka? Yes. We love her shoes, everything. She's great. But my wife and my daughter, they said, thank you. My wife and my daughter, they said, you know, if you run, you're going to win. I said, why do you say that? Because people really love you. They're tired of these incompetent people. They know you're good at what you do. It's interesting. And I didn't really, you know, I thought about it last time and I didn't do it. I thought about it very seriously. I was leading in the polls last time and I just said, you know what? And I renewed The Apprentice. And the top people from actually Comcast and NBC, they came up to my office this year, just before I announced. And great people, Steve Burke and Paul Talegny, the head of reality television for NBC, they came up to my office and they wanted me to do more than one more seasons of The Apprentice, because, you know, we had a great run, right? But I'm not allowed, if I run for president because of what's called equal time, you're not allowed to do a show. So I said, I'm not doing it, fellas. I want to make our country great again. I really think I can win. And I turned down tremendous, you know, tens of millions of dollars when I do that. You know, nobody. Mark Burnett called me, he says, I can't believe you're turning down an extension. Nobody turns down. Biggest actors, they don't turn down an extension. I mean, look who took my place. Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's good, right? How will he do? Thank you. That's not a good sign. I think he's a good guy. So let's see. I mean, you never know. Honestly, you never know. How will anybody do? When they signed me for The Apprentice, they signed me for one season because they figured I'd be on for a few nights and it would fade. And you know, we've had the 15 copies, all of them failed. But they signed me. They didn't have any extension rights. You know why? They didn't want to waste the ink. They figured I'd be, and they all said, well, women will never watch. And if you don't have women watching a show, you can't have a success. It can't be successful. Women have to watch, because if you don't have the women, a show, ratings, I've become like a ratings maven, okay? I become the king of ratings. So I said, I read this one horrible reviewer, nasty guy. He said, the show, this is 12 years ago when it first went on. He said, The Apprentice will never be successful because why will women want to watch Donald Trump? Can you believe this? It's very embarrassing. Everybody, my kids look, my daughter, my wife, they all look, oh, that's so bad. My husband's so sad, it's so sad. So we go on, the show's number 10, and then number 8, and then number 6, and then number 2, and then number 1, and you remember the finale was 28 million people. It was like the biggest show. I actually wrote that critic back. I said, I want you to take it back, you know. But you never really know what's going to happen. And then it was a success for many years, and it was great. And they wanted me to extend, and I said, I can't do it. And they didn't believe me. So at the upfronts, where they announced their programs, they went out and they announced that we are going to renew The Apprentice with Donald Trump. They still didn't believe me. I said, you don't understand, I'm running. And they renewed it. And actually it was confusing, because a lot of people that wanted me to run said, what are you doing? They renewed The Apprentice, you're doing it. And what are you doing? And I said, I'm not doing it, I'm not doing it. And then finally I had to make a decision. And I will tell you, a couple of people told me this. Mark Cuban told me this. A lot of people told me. And Mark's been really nice, and so many people have been nice. But it takes guts to run. It really does. And I said to my wife, you know, I'm going to do it. And I'll never forget standing on the famous escalator. You know the escalator, right? Remember the scene with Melania in front of me waving very elegantly? and Trump coming down, waving less elegantly. But I just took a deep breath, and I said, let's go do it. Let's make this country great, because it takes guts. It takes guts. And I'm so glad I did it. But the pundits were all saying, you know, I started off at 6, then it went to 8, then it went to 10, and every week it would go up, up, up. And now I'm leading by a lot. In one poll, I'm leading by 20 points. And the person that's second, who happens to be a very good guy, Dr. Carson, who's a nice guy, really is a nice guy, but they said, Carson's surging. And I said, but I'm leading by 20 points. They never mention me. It's like an incredible thing. I'm like the invisible man. Everybody's surging. You know, I'm leading, but everybody's surging. So, you know, it's one of those things. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm really glad I did it, because I have been received so warmly. I came in with a group of friends from New York, actually, and they said, Donald, are you nervous making the speech? I said, no, because there's such love in the rooms, all of them. It's not like, it's like, it's sort of easy, you know? It's sort of easy. No, they said that, and he was asking, he says, you know, he's a friend who's a very successful guy, and he said to me, man, he said he could never do it. He wouldn't sleep for months if you had to do that. And I said, you know, it's funny, there's such energy, and I mean, in Texas, in Florida, in New Hampshire, the other night we had 4,000 people. It was incredible. In fact, Bush had 100 people. I had 4,000, and CNN covered both. And you couldn't tell the difference because they had it against a wall. We're here with Bush. And then they go, we're here at the Trump. But they didn't say how many people. It's so disgusting. But that's okay. But everybody in the room knows there's tremendous energy. And I said to my friends, I said, you know, when you get up in front of that many people, there's like love. And it's love because they want to see something happen. They want to see. So, you know, I'll give you a couple of examples, quickies. But you look at the horrible Iran deal. Now, we all know it's horrible. 24 hours, but it's not really 24. It's 24 days. It's not really 24 days. Because before you get there, you have to go through a whole process, okay? The one I think is the greatest is self-inspection, where Iran does self-inspection. Then there's another one where nobody really knows what it means, but if Israel attacks Iran, we're supposed to protect Iran. Do you believe this? No, think of it. In this agreement. No, think of it. But I look at it and, you know, doing the art of the deal, so many people are coming in, they're all wanting me to sign the art of the deal. And what happens is I look and I see the incompetence, and I watch Kerry. He has no clue what he's doing. If they would have doubled up the sanctions and sat back for about 2 weeks, they would have been called and they would have been begging to make a deal. But they don't ask for the hostages. They don't ask. They didn't. It wasn't that they didn't get them. They never even asked. And they said, we didn't want to complicate the deal. Now, if it's me, I say, listen, before we start, fellas, let's do this. You got 4 hostages. By the way, it used to be 3, now it's 4. They took somebody in the meantime, a journalist. We have one over there because he's a Christian. He's a pastor. He's a good guy. I've met his wife twice. She's terrific. She's waiting for her husband to come home. He did nothing wrong. He's a Christian. That's why he's over there. The whole thing is crazy. So listen to this. So I would have said, fellas, before we start, you got 4 prisoners, meaning 3, meaning now 4. You got to do us a favor. Get them out. Let them out. Good for you, good for us. Nobody wants them over there. You don't need them. You don't want them. They're in the worst prisons. I hear the worst places, like people can't even imagine. They've been there for years now. I would have said, you got to get them out. You get them out now. You get them out fast. And you know what? They would have done it. You know, it's the messenger. Somebody else, it's true. It's the messenger. I hate to say. Somebody else could say the same words and the answer is no. But I'm a good messenger. I'm a very, they're not going to play games with me, believe me. I guarantee you one thing. I guarantee, and they're already now negotiating, because I've said this a number of times. If I win, you know, there's a little gap between winning and going in and doing a good job. If I win, they will be back so fast after that election night. You watch. Iran will say, we've decided to release the prisoners. We've decided. I guarantee. And I say that, And I say that, and they're watching, and everybody's watching, and you have all this live television, all these cameras back there. But I'm watching, and they're watching, and let me tell you something. They will be home very quickly after that election if I win. That I can tell you, because Iran knows it's going to be a whole different ball game. It's going to be a whole different ball game. So the other day, which was so sad, so they should have been back. The deal was horrible. We're giving them $150 billion, all the other things that you've heard 100 different times, but we're giving them $150 billion. Now they're going over to Syria to help Russia. They're doing also, they're a rich nation. They got plenty of ammunition, believe me, and they're smart and they're great negotiators. So I heard the other day, not 4, even though we have 4, they want to make a deal for 3. They're going to let 3 go. But they want 19 people. They want 19. And they want many other things. No, think of it. So they don't want 3 for 3, 4 for 4. We have 4 over there. They're not going to give us all 4. They're going to give us 3 of the 4. And they want 19. And they want, as they said, and many other things. Oh, fellas. How do we take it? No. That's why these rooms are all packed. That's why we have thousands of people standing outside. That's why. You just can't take it anymore. You just can't. It's so incompetent. And we negotiate in good faith. And they'll get 12 or 14 or 15 people, and we'll give them billions of dollars more. And it should have been part of the deal. It should have been part of the deal for nothing. 0. Should have been part of the deal. You got great people over there. You got great people over there. They're waiting to be released, and they don't come out, and nobody knows what's going on. But that's the new thing I heard, 19 for 3. And we're not going to get the 4th, and they want many things beyond the 19, and we're negotiating. It's just sickening to see what's happening. Just sickening. All right. So we'll get off that subject. But it's just, you know what? It's emblematic of what's happening. Here's a quick other one. Bergdahl. You know Bergdahl, right? Traitor. He's a traitor. Sergeant Bergdahl. So he leaves. He deserts. He's a deserter. Remember the old days? In the old days, being deserters. Boom. In the old days, deserters were shot. Right? Well, I knew something was up when I saw his father being interviewed. I said, whoa, what have we here? Whoa. That's a whole deal. But anyway, that was before I saw Bergdahl. But you know what? So Bergdahl comes out, and Bergdahl, he leaves. He deserts, pure and simple. The generals that went in to interview his group, the people that were with him, all knew before they made the deal. I figured maybe they didn't know. They knew. They had a colonel, they had a general. They interviewed all of these great guys, these great young soldiers. They said he deserted. 6 people were killed looking for him, right? They went out. They wanted to get him back. They didn't know he deserted at that time. So they went out. They wanted to get him back. They were killed, 6 of them. They say 5, but it was probably 6. Young, incredible, courageous people. Killed. Probably killed viciously, as bad as it can be. You can imagine. They were killed looking for this guy. So we get him back. What do we get him back for? We give up 5 for 1. So we get a traitor. They get the 5 guys that they've wanted for 10 years that are right now out on the battlefield trying to kill everybody, including us, okay? That's what we get. And that's the way we negotiate. We have incompetent people in Washington. We have a president that doesn't have a clue. He doesn't have a clue. And just to top that one off, the other day I'm watching television, and I see the newscast that Bergdahl, well, he may have some psychological problems, and we don't expect that he'll be getting any prison time. Do you believe this? No, do you believe this? No, and that's why. That's what's happening. And I say this is a movement. You know, they used to use the word silent majority, and it sort of disappeared. And they have different reasons. But we're not even a silent majority anymore. We're like a noisy majority. It's noisy. There's nothing silent. And that's what's happening. All right. a couple of things, and maybe it's not going to sound as exciting right now because that was really, I mean, every time I talk about it, I just can't believe what we're doing. I can't believe. And it's so big, it's so important. Nuclear is so important. We should have made a great deal, and we blew it. We had a chance to make, we had a chance. Yeah, we'll get them. Don't worry. I'll get them. I'll get them. You know, I made a lot of money purposely buying bad contracts for very little. I've had friends that they went bad and they had a lot of bad contracts. I'd buy that and I would make a lot of money with bad contracts. Believe me, it's called renegotiation. It's called beyond renegotiation. We'll get them. Don't worry. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. So we're going to talk for a couple of seconds about a few other things, and maybe we'll take a couple of questions if we can. I don't know. It's not set up, but who the hell knows? I have all day. I don't care. I don't. So immigration. When I first announced, I took a lot of heat. Rush Limbaugh actually said, I have never seen anyone take so much incoming, because I brought up the subject of illegal immigration. Illegal immigration. And I said, and I mean it because I'm really good at building things. You got to see what I have in New York and Chicago and different places. That's what I do. I'm building right now the old post office in Washington, believe it or not, on Pennsylvania Avenue, right near the White House. Somebody said, will he move into the White House? The answer is yes, okay? Yes. Right between Congress, right between the Capitol and the White House. And it's an incredible building. I'm building Doral. I'm building all this stuff. I know how to build. And I hear about the wall. A lot of people agree. You know, about 12 years ago, everybody wanted the wall. And then listen to this one. One of the reasons they couldn't build it, because they couldn't get their environmental impact statements. Do you believe it? It's true. I've done a lot of research. They couldn't get environmental impact statements. You know, there was a snail or a daughter or something or a snake that was in the way, that was nesting. There was a snake that was nesting in the area, you know, within 153 feet of the wall. Oh, our country, what we're doing to ourselves. And Mexico, they're friends of mine. They can't believe how stupid we are. They can't believe it. They can't believe it. And not only will we build a wall, and it will be a real wall. Did you see last week they had a truck going over the wall? They have a little wall, it's about this size. And they built a ramp, right? And they had a truck loaded up with drugs. Loaded up with drugs. A pickup. Didn't even need a strong engine. It had the small engine, not the big. And they had a little ramp going up and down. And they had the truck going back and forth. It's like the craziest thing. No, my walls don't work that way. My wall's a wall. My wall's a wall. And you know, walls work. Go to Israel, you'll see that walls work. Nobody comes through. No, walls work. So we're going to build a wall, and it's going to be impenetrable. It will be a real wall, and we're going to take care of our Border Patrol people because they are great, and they're not allowed to do their job. They're not allowed to do their job. I met with them. That's why the white hat does so well, right? The white hat. That was when I met in New York in the red hat. No, I was in Iowa with the red hat. And now the red hat's doing so well. So it's a crazy thing. And it says, make America great, right? That's what it's all about. But, so we're going to have, oh, there it is, right there. But we're going to have a real wall. And then they say, oh, the wall can't be built. It's too expensive. Well, first of all, in China, the Great Wall of China, built 2,000 years ago, is 13,000 miles. This one, you need really 1,000 miles. It's almost 2,000, but there are a lot of natural problems. So you have Jerusalem's a point. And that's why I say, in Israel, you have a wall that absolutely works. You talk to them. Believe me, it works. And the walls work, if they're properly built. Not walls this high that are fences and that you actually break them down and walk right over them, okay? And our Border Patrol's not allowed to do anything. And then you have the anchor babies. You have a woman. She gets pregnant, she's 9 months, walks over to the United States, has the baby. Congratulations, United States, you take care of that baby for 85 years, okay? And then the 14th Amendment. And then what happens is they all said, oh, you can't do that because you'll have to have a constitutional amendment, it'll take years. It doesn't. It doesn't. I turned out to be right. I was a little lucky on this subject, to be honest with you, because but then the great constitutional lawyers all said, no, they're having the baby. It's an illegal person having the baby. You don't have to do that. And we will win in court. But a simple act, listen to this. A simple act And we have hundreds of thousands of people coming to the country that way. And I'm not only talking about from South America, from Mexico, Latin America. I'm talking about from China. They come from all over the world. They sit down, they have a baby right there. And we have them for the next 85 years, or hopefully they live a long time. We have them. Our country is crazy. Do you know, if you want to become a citizen of Mexico, it's virtually impossible. Okay? Over here, they just walk in. Now, Mexico, they're too smart. Their leaders are too smart for our leaders. That's all it is. They're too smart. They're smart, they're cunning, they're sharp. They send people right through. Trains go right through them, and nobody gets off. Nobody gets, no, you go right into the United States. And then we send them all over the country, and we have all sorts of problems. Now we have a problem with the migration. And I said, I mean, it's a horrible problem, the migration from Syria and other places, in my opinion. So I'm asked the other day, what do you do? Well, a couple of weeks ago, I said, well, I guess you got to help, on a humane basis. You feel badly, right? It's terrible. But then over the last couple of weeks, I've been watching, and I say, wow, that's really something, because Obama now wants to take in, listen to this one. They were talking about 3,000, then 5,000, then 10,000. It's a lot of people. 200,000. The new number is, no, think of it. That's, 200,000? That's like an army. When you get to, so now I'm looking the other day, and other people have noticed this too, and they're all men. It's like, where are the women? Now, not all, but they're mostly men, right? And they're also very strong men. These are not people. And the first thing I said is, these are men, strong men. Why aren't they back fighting for their country? And then I said, and it is true, take a look when they show. Of course, now the press is going to show different sections where, but no, I mean, if you look at a random, as they call it in polling, if you look at a random sampling, you'll see tremendous numbers of young, strong men. So, I don't want to say that's for sure, and probably it's not. But that could be ISIS. That could be the enemy. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people coming into this country. We know nothing about them. There's no documentation. There's no papers. They don't know, as he said, they're already in. Some are already in, by the way. Hate to tell you. But there's no documentation. There's no papers. They say, yes, I am so-and-so, and I'm from Syria. Oh, well, come on into the United States. We have no idea what we're doing. Number one, it will cost billions of dollars to take care of them, to get them over. One of the greats, I said, I will, and I mean this, and the reason I say it early, because I want people to know, and I even want them to know, because it's all over the world what I said. It was pretty controversial. It's all over the world. They know. Everybody knows. That's the one thing about today, modern-day communication. I said, if they come in, and if I win, and somebody's going, win. Well, it's if. Look, I'm running against politicians, and they are good at one thing, trying to get into office. That's about it. No, that's it. They're not good at anything else. They're not going to create jobs. No, they're not going to create jobs. They're not going to create anything else. They're good at talking. They're good at getting into office. That's about it. And after they get there, they fall asleep for 4 years or 2 years or whatever it might be. And that's what's been happening. And I said very strongly, I said, look, if they come in and if I win, they're going back. They're going back. They're going back. So ABC, television network, ABC, this reporter, I won't mention his name, he doesn't say the whole thing. I give a thing. They could be ISIS. They're all men, so many men, strong, young men. They leave all that out. They have just one clip. If they come here, they will go back. I look like the worst human being on earth, right? They really, it's so unfair. It's so unfair. But let me just tell you, if they come in, and if I win, they are going back. They are going back, okay? The amazing thing is, and they have like so many people, so many different lines. They said, well, you can't send them back. How would you ever get them back? I said, how did they ever come here? It's unbelievable. They're talking about bringing them from Syria so they can bring them, no problem. We cannot get them back. It's terrible. And what I do like is a safe zone. I do. You take a big area in Syria. There's plenty of land. That's one thing you have over there. There's no real estate problems. Not a lot of people investing in Syria right now. You get a big piece of land, safe, get a big piece of land. Let Germany, let all these other countries, including the Gulf states, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, unbelievable wealth. By the way, they're not taking anybody. Anybody! They're not taking anybody to the Gulf states. I have so many friends in the Gulf states, they buy my apartments like crazy. I love them, okay? But they're smart. They're not taking anybody. Now, we're taking 200,000, but the Gulf states next door are taking nobody. And they're not putting up much money, if any. If any. But what I would say is this. You get the Gulf states. Saudi Arabia makes $1 billion a day. You get the Gulf states. You get Germany, because Germany, I mean, they're having riots over there now. Merkel was strong. Now all of a sudden they want to get rid of her. That's going to end up not in a good situation. But you get these countries that are going through hell right now with the migration, and they all feel guilty. You get them all to chip in, and you build a safe zone. And then ultimately, when that whole mess ends, whenever it ends, and who knows, it could go on for a long time, but ultimately, you let them go back to their homes. You let them go back where they actually probably want to go. You know, they probably want to go. I mean, you know, I have employees that work in different parts of Latin America, South America, Mexico, in parts of Europe that actually are not doing well. And I say, what are you going to do when you retire? Oh, Mr. Trump, I'm going back home. Really? You are? They'll leave like great areas. They want to go back home because it's home. It's very interesting, isn't it? They want to go back home. It's ravaged in some cases. But when they leave, their big thing is to go back home. It's very interesting. And these people are going to want to go back home. It's sort of natural, right? It's sort of a natural thing. So we have to help them in that sense, but we don't have to help them where we take them into our country and we are going to give them documentation that's in Arabic. We're going to give them all sorts of documentation. The whole thing is just crazy. So we're going to help because we do have a heart, but we can't take them in the country. And there is a problem. You could have a Trojan horse situation. This could be the ultimate Trojan horse. I don't think it is. It probably isn't. But the word probably is unacceptable, right? It's probably... I mean, this one could be written about for a long time. And, you know, they know how stupid our leaders are. They know how dumb our leaders are. So they probably figure, boy, this is going to be easy. We'll send a lot of people, and a big percentage of them is going to be great fighters and ISIS or whatever enemy it may be, because we got plenty between ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all of them. So a big percentage could be that. And probably isn't, but it could be. It's not going to happen. We're getting them out, okay? And I hope they don't come in. I hope they don't come in. They shouldn't be allowed to come in. It shouldn't happen. That part of the world has to take care. We can't take care of everybody. We can't do it. We can't do it. We just can't do it anymore. We owe $19 trillion. You know, last time I was here, I was in Nashville about a month ago. We had an amazing crowd. Amazing crowd. Who was at that event? Yeah, we had a lot of people. But we had an amazing crowd, and like today, I mean, incredible. And we were talking about 18 trillion, and now it's 19 trillion. It just goes up. It's only going up. And when Obamacare kicks in, which is really in 16, Obama's going to be playing golf on some of my golf courses, I think, okay? He won't care. When Obamacare kicks in, do you see what's happening to your premiums? They're going up 40, 50%. Do you see what's going on? When Obamacare kicks in, it's going to be unbelievable for our country, unbelievably bad, so expensive. So we're going to repeal Obamacare, replace it with something much, much better. So bad. But the fact is, we're at 19 trillion. We owe 19 trillion. We owe 1.5 trillion to China. Can you believe it? They take our jobs, they take our base, they take our money, and we owe them 1.5 trillion. How does that work? I always call it a magic act. How about Japan? We owe Japan the exact same amount. We owe Japan $1.5 trillion. 1.5 trillion. They sell us cars. We send them beef and they send it back. They don't want it. Their farmers don't want it. You know, okay, don't blame them. They want to do their own stuff. What do they want the United States for? So we send cars. The numbers are massively different. We send cars, they bring these cars over. We send a car over to Tokyo, right? Like one Chevrolet. They send it back. I'll bet you don't have a Chevrolet in all of Japan. Okay? So they send us, I see boats in Los Angeles, the biggest ships I've ever seen, loaded up with cars, loaded up from Japan. And they're coming out, they just want, it looks like a highway, it looks like the Long Island Expressway. Just pouring out of these ships, pouring out. We owe them $1.5 trillion. Now think of it. We do this tremendous imbalance, and we have a huge imbalance with Japan, like close to $70 billion a year. We have almost $400 billion a year imbalance with China. $400 billion. I mean, how stupid are our leaders? How stupid are they? We can't go on that way. Now, with China, we open our country. Oh, free trade, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I'm a free trader. I like free trade. The problem with free trade is you need smart people. If you don't have smart representatives, free trade's a disaster. And I have Carl Icahn lined up. You probably heard. Carl's a great business genius. And I have other of the biggest, the smartest people. I know all of them. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the overrated ones, the ones that nobody heard of that are better than everybody. I have guys lined up. Believe me, we'll put them in those rooms. It's going to be a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different ballgame. Because, ultimately it is really a sophisticated chess match. But I have the best people lined up. I mean, think of it, think if we can bring that down a lot and even break even. Just break even. You're talking about 400. Do you know what that does to us? Do you know how that makes us? Essentially, you're losing $400 billion a year. Okay? Think what I could do. They all said, I came out with my tax plan, and I was going to read it to you, but you've all heard it, right? Well, you've all heard it. But the truth is, people said to me, well, I don't know, it's a very steep tax cut. And it is, for the middle class especially. For the middle class. And they said, it's a very steep cut. Can you balance the budget? I said, balance the budget? There's so much waste and fraud in Washington. When you start cutting, you're going to balance the budget. Believe me, you're going to balance the budget. So we have that. Then we have our military. We're going to build it up. We're going to make it great. And we are going to take care of our veterans. Our veterans. Our veterans. Our veterans are being treated like third-class citizens, and they're our best people. Our wounded warriors are the greatest. I see them, so I love, these are incredible people. They went over there, and they've been let down. They've been let down by the politicians. The politicians don't even, right now, Iraq is negotiating. Just as I said, 2003, 2004, read the articles. They wanted me to shut up. I said, you're making a mistake. But just as we're talking right now, Iraq is negotiating with Iran to take over. Iran is going to merge in with Iraq. I said that was going to happen. And Iraq has among the top 3 oil reserves in the world. Iran is saying, thank you, United States. We didn't have to fire a shot. You're so stupid and nice. Iran is going to take over all of those reserves. They're going to take over Iraq, and Iraq is already going like, come on in, please, come on in. It's so sad. It's so sad. The level of incompetence. You have Syria going, and you have Russia in there. Now, if you remember Russia was the Soviet Union, right? And they went into a place called Afghanistan, and they went busted. They went bankrupt. They were fighting it for years. The Afghans are great soldiers, very smart, very smart. In fact, I'm waiting for Obama to give an exact date when he's going to leave. Then they'll just go away for a little while. Then they'll come. That's what happened in Iraq. We are leaving in 14 months. October 13th, we will be leaving. The enemy says, hey, this is great news. Now think of this. By the way, think of this. Even if you didn't mean it, okay? Because think of General Patton McGrath. Think about what they're doing. They're spinning in their grave. They can't believe this. Think if Obama said the following. We're never leaving. We're going to be there forever. Forever. And we're going to destroy them, and we're going to this, and we're going to that. Even if he didn't mean it, they would have said, oh, I've had enough. Let's get the hell out of here. These people are crazy. These people are crazy. So now we have the Syrian situation, and that's going to be a big bog down. That's going to be bogged down, and I can see already what's going to happen with Russia. They think it's going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. And Russia doesn't want ISIS. I know they're hitting the other targets right now, too. And we're supposed to be fighting for the rebels. But nobody knows who the rebels are, right? Remember Libya and how bad Gaddafi was? And we're going to fight for the rebels. Well, then the rebels killed our ambassador in the worst way. what happened to him, and 3 other people, and many other people, by the way. Okay? Remember that. Perhaps thanks to Hillary Clinton. Correct. 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 But do you remember that? And then you have Iraq with Saddam Hussein. I mean, he was vicious. He was a violent guy. But you know what? There were no terrorists in Iraq. That was not. Now it's the Harvard University of terrorism. That's where they study terrorism right now in Iraq. You had no terror. You know what he used to do to the terrorists? A 1-day trial and shoot them. Okay, that was, and the 1-day trial usually lasted about 5 minutes. All right? Right? You see it. There was no terrorism then. There was no, and remember this, when the World Trade Center came down, they didn't go back to Iraq. You know that, right? The families. The families got deposited on airplanes to go home because the husbands are going to do a great deed. They're going to knock down the World Trade Center, they were going for the Pentagon, and they were going for other locations. Okay? And you know where they went? To another place, correct. They didn't go to Iraq. They didn't go to Iraq. So we shouldn't have been in, and then the way Obama got us out, we shouldn't have gotten out. That was the wrong way to get out. We shouldn't have been there, and we shouldn't have gotten out the way we got out. So there are a lot of stupid people in Washington, and it's one of those things. But I just want to tell you that, and I was going to read the plan, and I was also going to read the Second Amendment to you, because we have a Second Amendment plan that's great. Because I was going to read it. I was going to do a whole thing, and I was going to come up and read this Second Amendment, and we have an incredible policy. You know, they all wanted me to do policy. And I kept saying, read it, read it. I can do it. I'll start off. Should I start off, really? Okay. So I put in Donald J. Trump, et cetera, protecting our Second Amendment rights will make America great again and strong again, right? The Second Amendment to our Constitution is clear. Now, this is in light of what's gone on with Oregon. You know, every time something happens, they blame. They don't blame mental illness, that our mental health care is out of whack, and all of the other problems. And by the way, it was a gun-free zone. I will tell you, if you had a couple of the teachers or somebody with guns in that room, you would have been a hell of a lot better off. You would have been a hell of a lot better off. It's really sad. And we can say that with respect to a number of places where that happens. But you have a gun. How about the military event that took place 3 or 4 months ago, where you had these highly decorated soldiers in a military area where they're not allowed, and this one soldier was like one of the highest decorated, and they weren't allowed to have the guns. And this whack job walks in and starts shooting them. Why are we having gun-free zones in a military camp? Okay? So the Second Amendment to our Constitution is clear. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed upon, period. 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 The Second Amendment guarantees a fundamental right that belongs to all law-abiding Americans, right? I wrote this. The Constitution doesn't create that right. It ensures that the government can't take it away, right? Can't. They're doing all sorts of moves to try and take it away. Our founding fathers knew, and our Supreme Court has upheld, that the Second Amendment purpose is to guarantee our right to defend ourselves and our families. We need that. In fact, I have a license to carry in New York. Can you believe that? Nobody knows that. Somebody attacks me. Somebody attacks me. Oh, they're going to be shocked. Can you imagine? Somebody says, oh, there's Trump, he's easy pickings. What'd you say? Right? Oh, boy. What was the famous movie, remember? No, remember? Where he went around and he sort of, after his wife was hurt so badly and killed. What? Honestly? Yeah, right, it's true. But you have many of them. You have many of them. Charles Bronson, right? The late, great Charles Bronson. Name of the movie? Come on. Death Wish. Remember that? Oh, we're going to cut you up, sir. We're going to cut you up. Oh. Being one of the great movies. Today you can't make that movie because it's not politically correct. Right? It's not politically correct. But could you imagine with Trump? Somebody says, oh, all these big monsters aren't around. he's easy pickings, and then, So this is about self-defense, plain and simple. It's been said that the Second Amendment is America's first freedom. That's because the right to keep and bear arms protects all of our rights, which is so true. We're the only country in the world that has a Second Amendment. Protecting that freedom is imperative, absolutely imperative. And I do a whole paper on it. And it's gotten fantastic reviews. It's enforce the laws on the books. It's fix our broken mental health system. All of these people, it's not the guns, it's the people that these sick people defend the rights of law-abiding, and this is important because they're trying to take your rights away. They say we only want a couple of bullets in the magazines, maybe you shouldn't have magazines, have a gun that fires one bullet, have nothing. Defend the rights of law-abiding gun owners, and that doesn't happen, so we have to do that. They have background checks already in place, and that was done in 1998, and people slipped through, and our government's not doing a great job. You have a national right to carry, and you have the military bases. I mean, when you think about the military bases, so we laid out this policy. I'm a very, very big Second Amendment person. It's very important to me. It's very, very important. So, one other thing I want to say is I met with a lot of ministers and pastors the other day, and I brought up one point that has been bothering me for a long time, and it's the word Christmas. We can't say Christmas. You ever go to a store now where it says Happy Holiday, and I say to the owner, where is the Christmas? No, we don't do that. We don't do that anymore. You can't use, you think of it, you can't use Christmas anymore. Okay? I will tell you one thing. If I win, you're going to be using Merry Christmas all the time. All the time. So, it's an incredible honor to be here. It's incredible to see the kind of numbers you have in this room and way outside. We have speakers set up for them, but it's obviously not the same thing, but it's an honor that they showed up and they're standing out there in the rain. But I just want to tell you that we are going to do something special. There's something special that's happening. There's something special, and I see it everywhere. There is something special that's happening. And look around at the people that are next to you, and just remember, we are going to do something that's going to surprise the world. We're going to win, and we're going to turn this around. And we're not only going to make America great again, we're going to make it better than ever before. And we can do it better than ever before. And I just want to thank you, and I love you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.